Hey everyone, you're listening to Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh and whatever special guest he has today. You can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good. And follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros, Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. Derek Smith is our guest from Downgrain Labs. What exactly is Downgrain Labs and why should you care about it? What does it do for you? Derek is a numbers guy, but not just a data dork. He can take those numbers and make them interesting, tell stories around them. He helps the golf industry, which ultimately helps the golfer himself. Very interesting life. And he has some similarities to some of our past guests. He is on a mission of sorts to play all the top 100 courses in America. Sounds like Ryan Schiff. Sounds like Jeff Metzger, past guests on here, and he is on his way. His dad's really close. And aside from his work in the golf industry, he's also worked for Major League Baseball in the past. So he's a fascinating guy. But more than anything, we're going to talk about the 12-hole course. Are you seeing more and more of that? I got one popping up across the street from me at Lakewood National at Calusa Country Club. Is it a thing? I think it's a thing. And he's going to tell us why it's a thing and we should get used to it and probably fall in love with it, just like we do 18-hole golf. Big thanks to our title sponsor, Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course and you're a little tired of drinking beer or you don't drink beer because the smooth swing kind of goes away. I mean, you may think of it as swing lube, but it sort of makes you fat. There's a better alternative, and it's better than the drinks named after times of day or hard seltzers. Party. If you do not have Party where you play golf, you're going to want it. So get in touch with the golf course staff and tell them we want Party here. Paradise Craft Distributors is an exclusive distributor of Party across the state of Florida and also available in New England. Big thanks to the golf real estate pros, Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro from suncoastdreams.com. If you're looking for golf real estate in the greater Sarasota area, nobody better than Gene and Vince. There are some good opportunities at Lakewood National Golf Club and across the street at Calusa Country Club. And there's nobody better than them to take care of you. Won't you be my neighbor? And Violet Spa, if all that golf has you tired, and if you're looking for a place to unwind, cold water plunge, hot tub, mani-pedi, if that's up your alley, Violet Spa in downtown Sarasota has you covered. Here he is, Derek Smith. Hey, what's going on, my man?
Hey, Kevin. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice to be with you. Where are you joining us from?
I'm in Scottsdale right now. It's awfully hot with the summer heat.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. Summer in Florida is so darn hot. Different kinds of heat, yes?
Yeah, 100%.
So tell me this. How did you found Downgrain Labs? What was the tipping point where you're like, I know you're a golfer and we'll get into that, but what was it that you said there might be more here and maybe I have a business on my hands?
Yeah, it's, I've always worked in the data industry, whether it's collecting data or finding data. But as, my career was kind of nearing an end and I was looking for a transition in that SaaS software space, I had more time on my hands to play and practice golf. And so I'll give an example. I went to Columbus, Ohio to see some friends, and I just wanted to hit balls. And finding a list of driving ranges around you is actually not easy, right? Some courses, you have to have a tee time to hit balls. Others, they just have mats. And I was like, the sites I was visiting that had data on driving ranges near you were ancient. And I was surprised that nobody was collecting data in the golf industry at like in an accurate way or in an easy to digest way. And then I think the tipping point was I was meeting a friend in Illinois. He lived in Iowa. And I said, well, I just want to find like the best public course in between us for under $100. And to do that, you have to go to Google Maps. You have to type in golf. You have to go to, 12 different course websites, look at their rates. You have to look at their ratings on 18 Birdies or on Golf Now. And it was like, why is this so hard? And so that really started a foray into understanding who collects data on golf courses. Is it good? What do people want? And I realized and talked to people and found that there was no super modern, high quality data set on golf courses, what happens there, the people who work there. And that's what I actually did in my previous career. And so I just went full steam ahead in offering high quality golf data.
So the previous career, you worked for two commissioners in Major League Baseball. What was that like?
Yeah. So I grew up obsessed with baseball. I played year round in Cleveland, Ohio, which is hard to do, obviously, with the weather. And I was 18 years old, I said, you know what, I'm not good enough to play in the major leagues, but I wanted to be a baseball executive. So I studied engineering and math in college. And then I went and actually worked for the commissioner of baseball for their investigations team. And so, that was right during the time that the biogenesis case was happening. So Alex Rodriguez was doing steroids and, we were uncovering all this different information. And I was the data guy that was sifting through package logs and other big databases to find little, hints of information about who might be using drugs or who might know whom. And so I've really, my whole career been digging into data and finding things that are hard to find. But doing it for Major League Baseball was really just a dream come true. I got to travel to All-Star games, World Series, World Baseball Classics. It was incredible.
Man, I wasn't expecting that, but the numbers tell a story, and I just wonder what story the numbers tell about 12-hole golf, because to me, I've always thought 9 holes is not enough. That's for wimps. That's just my feelings. I think I may be onto something, but you have more that we can mine from. What is it? What do we know about 9-hole or 12-hole golf?
Well, what we know about 12-hole golf is that there were hardly any 12-hole courses built over the past 100 years, right? So I've got some stats on that. But, since what we do is we monitor courses at every golf facility in America, and then we also track upcoming projects, right? So we know how many 12-hole courses are in development. And what I can tell you is there are more 12-hole courses going to be built in the 2020s than the previous 3 decades combined. And the question is, why is that? We can get into that, but I think it's clear that the younger generation, their attention spans may be a little shorter. Golf has certainly kind of become more of a fun party type, social event than maybe an old man's game, which it historically has been, compared to. And so there's, I think, business opportunities and entrepreneurs trying to capitalize on where the market's going and the opportunity to make golf more fun and bring in new types of golfers.
Yeah, I think one story that I hear a lot when I caddy for people, I usually ask my players, well, what's your golf history? Like, how much golf are you playing? And a common answer I hear a lot is like, well, I used to play a lot of golf and then I had kids. And I get it. There are family demands and everything. So is that kind of what you're seeing with new parents, fathers in particular? But it's not just men. Women are playing too.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many new golfers I golf with, and they are disinterested by like the 14th hole. Man, golf is so long. And so I think it's a combination of time. You go out and play 12 holes, that has scratched the itch. Like nobody plays 12 holes and like feels like they hadn't played enough golf. Sometimes you feel that with 9. And so I think you're catering to different types of golfers. I think, it's getting harder for parents to be away from their kids. And so you're finding these amenities at clubs, and we're talking add-ons to like facilities with more than 18 holes, as well as dedicated 12-hole facilities. I think that's important to point out. You can go to Abandoned Dunes or Sand Valley and they'll have a 11 or 12-hole course for like, people when they come in the afternoon, they want to get a little round in before they have dinner. But we're seeing dedicated 12-hole courses. Like we're like, yeah, we have 12 and only 12. Those are being built and business plans are being built around these types of projects.
Derek Smith is our guest here on Party Time, My Golf Story. He is the founder of Downgrain Labs. Party is brought to you by Party Drinks, the golf real estate pros of Gene Walsh and Vince Vizicaro from suncoastdreams.com and BioLit Spa in downtown Sarasota. Derek, we really shouldn't be surprised by this because the original course, if we go back in history, the old course was 12 holes before it was 18. Yes. So what's old is new.
I mean, Shinnecock's the same way. Prestwick also, where the first Open Championship was, started as 12. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the history and how we ended up at 18 is a little murky. I think they just kept adding on to St. Andrews. But, there's any number of holes is fun, right? And I think the entrepreneurs and people building golf courses are trying to now say, if I have this footprint, what is the best way to maximize revenue and maximize enjoyment? And, if you have this tiny, dilapidated 18-hole course, is it smarter to make 12 fun holes, maybe with lights and an interactive technology-enabled range, with Top Tracer and beer and maybe Party drinks, or am I just going to have this 18-hole course that's 5,200 yards? And so I think there's a lot of people figuring out how to maximize revenue and enjoyment at these facilities
and better use of space. You mentioned lights. Is that going to be a thing? Is it a thing in the desert? Will we see more of that moving forward?
I think so. There are definitely a few companies out there specifically trying to identify old courses that can start to generate revenue for many more hours in a day. I'm here in Phoenix. There's one over there by the airport that is really popular. And the hard part for these types of projects are you can't really have lights up all night in the middle of a residential neighborhood. And so it really comes down to finding the right type of facility that is close enough to people, but not so close that, you're lighting up their house at midnight. But there are dedicated companies out there just trying to find these golf courses that aren't too spectacular, but with lights, the allure of night golf, specifically in places like, in the desert where it's hot for most of the day, that seems like an opportunity that people are taking.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be a good hang with your buddies. I mean, that's when I think I'd maybe take a cocktail out on the golf course at night. It seems a little bit more appropriate. And at the end of a long day, you feel like you've earned it and you can have a little something sweeter. What's your golf story? What's the backstory on that? When did you start and how much are you playing?
Yeah, I was probably the kid that had clubs and played once a year until I was 18. Like I said, I was addicted to baseball. And so I kind of had the idea that golf would ruin my baseball swing. What I've learned as an adult, it's quite the opposite. Baseball essentially ruined my golf swing. So I've been fighting the over the top for quite a while. But the day I quit baseball, I went to my garage and picked up my clubs and went to the driving range and started getting lessons. And, since then I've just fell in love with the game. I like strategy. I like mental discipline. I like walking outside and I like challenging myself, and I'm competitive. And so I think it's a tremendous game. It's great for families to get together. I'm under a 5 handicap right now, and I don't know how much lower it'll ever get. So I'm enjoying, breaking 80 every now and then. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Man, you were telling my story when you said that baseball and golf wreck each other's swings. That was definitely the case for me. When I came back to play Little League, I was uppercutting everything, and it just I could never find the sweet spot between the two. So Tell me this, the top 100 courses in America, how far along are you in that journey?
I've played 72 of them. And, I'm also trying to do the world, which is an entirely different scale of challenge. But yeah, I've played most of them. It's a great father-son bonding process. So, going on these road trips with my dad, flying to Hazeltine or, Idaho to play these really amazing courses. I'm building memories that will last with me forever because, my dad's at 97. He's knocking on the doorstep, and it's been fun to follow it along with him.
Yeah, that's cool. It sounds like Ryan Schiff's story, who was a previous guest, and it turns out there's a little overlap between you and Ryan and A Fool's Errand, his book that that aired just a couple of weeks ago here. What happened?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to play a course in Illinois and had trouble getting on it. And I noticed that there was like a charity out there benefit and said, if you donate to this charity, a member at this club will take you out. And so we did it, my dad and I, and it happened to be Ryan Schiff was our host. And, we had a great time. I still keep in touch with him and this guy, Ben, that was in our foursome, and we exchanged texts. And, he mentioned he was doing the Pursue the Top 100. And so we had a lot in common. He's a big hockey guy. I'm a big baseball guy. But some of us just really like experiencing new golf courses. And it's always great when you get a host who's similarly minded as you.
Yeah, somebody who gets it, understands. It's just like you don't have to say a lot. You just like, this is where I am, and they know exactly what you're talking about. And where you talked about the bonding with your dad, I think Ryan is trying to produce those similar bonds with his sons.
Yep.
And that's magical stuff. Tell me this: I'm seeing more and more places in shopping centers, simulator golf popping up. Does this have legs?
I think it does. I think the whole market is shaking itself out right now. And so what I mean by that is I do think we're undercounting the number of indoor golf facilities in America. So I did an initial pass with data crawling and some manual research. And, if you Google how many indoor golf facilities are there in America, you're going to get 1,600, 1,800. I found a director that had 1,200. I'm at 2,800. Right. And so this includes everything from the private clubs that you kind of get 24/7 access to. They could be unmanned. You just kind of swipe your card and go in. But then there's also the ones where you just book a bay for $40 an hour. Right. There's like lots of different types of indoor golf facilities. But what we're finding is golf is hot, and people who love golf love to build these things up and open up a simulator location in a strip mall. What I'm also finding is they're closing pretty frequently, right? And so tracking indoor golf facilities has actually become a much harder thing for me than tracking 14,000 actual green grass outdoor golf facilities. And so I think what we're finding is, like, in the right markets where there's a huge demand for golf, these places will have sustained success. I think, when you're just kind of a golf fanatic and you throw a TrackMan in a strip mall and, hope your friends and other people will come without a real business model behind it, I think you're going to struggle to generate a profit.
Well, that would lead me to think that you have to have more than just the golf. If you're at the simulator place, you have to have the hang. Yes?
Yeah. I mean, unless you're like super performance driven, in the Bay Area, there's a couple of places like this where it's like super golf improvement. There's enough people around your metro area who like are obsessed with, their face angle, but I think where the revenue is and the sustained business success, it's at marrying the social aspect, the event hosting, the conferences, the employee appreciation events with alcohol, with fun and food, and really, a low pressure, fun version of golf. Like we talked about with 12-hole courses, I think that's where the success is going to be on the indoor side.
Derek Smith is our guest here on Part T Time, My Golf Story. He is the founder of Downgrain Labs. Part T, My Golf Story, is brought to you by Part T Drinks and the Golf Real Estate Pros of Gene Walsh and Vince Vizicaro, suncoaststreams.com, and also BioLit Spa in downtown Sarasota. The golf simulators, I know some people have them in their houses, private clubs, and then you have them in strip malls and everything. So they're there. And I've always kind of wondered with TGL, Tigers thing, the indoor golf that we see on ESPN. Did that jump out of that? Did that inspire the indoor golf league? And do you think there's a future for that? What are your thoughts on TGL?
I had a chance to go to one of the events in the first year with my dad when we were in Florida playing a top 100 course. I have mixed opinions on like the product of TGL, but do I think TGL was a derivative of the indoor golf craze that is taking over America and the world? I think yes. Especially in a world where like it's becoming harder and harder to build green grass outdoor golf courses, especially in high population areas. Like indoor golf is the natural next best thing. And when I look at TGL and the technology, like I was into it. My dad was actually into it, and he didn't really want to go. And, by the end of the time we were there, he was like on his feet clapping, for chip-ins on an indoor golf green. And so, I can't say whether TGL is going to be a huge success. I know that they're starting a women's league, but I do think it's a sign that like there's money behind the concept of indoor golf, right? And I do think that part of the reason why these successful business people see a future in indoor golf, professionally, I guess, or entertainment wise, is because they have a heavy belief that the leisure activity of indoor golf is here to stay.
Well, it definitely seems to skew to the younger generation because I'm an old fart. I'm 56. It's like indoor golf to me. It's like, yeah, I'll watch it, but will I watch that like I just watched the Open Championship where I'll make time for that? Or is that just one of those things? Is that what they're looking for? More the Gen Z or wherever we are right now?
I'm not sure what they're looking for. I don't think they're expecting to get, guys like you addicted to, the Jupiter Links, whatever that club is, right, to buy all their merchandise. And so, yeah, I think they're clearly trying to capture something with the technology, the younger generation. I think there's probably like a macro movement to just make golf seem more fun, across any golf organization. And I think they're trying to capture on that. And so, I know that they do a lot of promotions where they bring high school golf teams or they try to give tickets away to youth because those people are going to be making a lot more noise in the arena. They're going to make it more fun. I think right now, from what I've heard, the TGL fan base is typically like, executives, tech executives or software people who just sit in their seat and watch. They don't really create this energy that really the arena environment should have.
I think it's ballsy as hell. And I like them for doing that and taking the chance on it. I hope it works out, but we'll see about that. I read one of the articles that you posted just about wealthy golf versus blue collar golf. And sometimes there are misconceptions about that. Can you help with that? Clear it up a bit?
Yeah, I think, certain parts of the country are way more open to public golf, to regular guys going out and getting a $50 tee time and playing golf. And then there's parts of the country where golf is fairly restricted, right? And so what I did was, and our team, we gathered all the data. We looked at every single state, every single region of the US and said, well, what's the ratio of public to private golf? And, there were some surprises in there. I was surprised at how accommodating the Midwest is for public golf. I don't know why I was surprised, but I just didn't think about it. But places like the deep Northeast and in Florida, they skewed heavily private. It's harder for people in those areas to find a round of golf, and especially if you think about the elite clubs in the Northeast, in Boston, and in New York or those areas. It's a highly dense part of the country. There's not land around that's cheap, and one of the things that's unfortunate is if there's a piece of land that's near a bunch of homes, it is very valuable for non-golf purposes as well, right? We're talking condos. And so I think what's happening is public golf's kind of getting eaten up as these old courses kind of need renovations. And the landowners are saying, well, I'm not going to pay $20 million to re-irrigate this course. I could sell it for way more, whatever it costs, right? And so private clubs have a different revenue model than public clubs. And unfortunately, if you live in Boston, playing public golf is a lot harder than doing it in, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
That's what got me back in caddying is living in Boston. The private clubs were a lot out of my reach financially. So I'm like, well, if I start caddying, well, then I get that free golf. I'll let the members pay for that. Let them do the heavy lifting, and then I'll come on Monday and I'll play all the golf that I want. Yeah. Derek, tell me this. Can you enjoy around the golf for just what it is? And the reason I ask that is because as an industry insider, I imagine maybe you're looking around, checking things out, and maybe the noodle's working a little too much. Or do you separate the job from just the joy of when you go play golf?
I largely separate it, but I'm always scouting to see what golf courses have in terms of like amenities, in terms of what they buy, right? So my company like sells data on golf courses so that whoever sells to golf courses knows who to reach. And golf courses buy tons of stuff. And, you know, I've learned so much in this business about how much golf courses spend money. And so it's hard for me when I'm sitting around a clubhouse to not notice that, oh, wow, they're selling this. I wonder if they need data, you know, or, oh my gosh, there's a company that actually is like Uber Eats for the golf course, right? So you can get food delivered to you on the 13th hole. It's like, I wonder how they reach golf courses, right? So it always creeps in my head that there are more companies than you think trying to sell products to golf courses. And so I can never be 100%, focused on shooting my score anymore.
So when you walk in a place, I mean, are you just immediately like, well, let's say you're working for the club. Where does it start? All right. Does it start when you walk in the door, you see the pro? Where do you start like the data dive?
Honestly, it's on the website, if you're booking public golf, right? So one of the things I've become fascinated with, maybe to an unhealthy extent, is like what technology is used at which clubs. And so, what percentage of courses use this booking engine versus that booking engine? And we collect all that data. We keep it updated for our customers, but it's fun to look at trends in like what technology is being deployed on a golf course's website. And so I've had times where I go to book a tee time and I notice that there's an AI assistant sitting right on the golf course website. And then I start clicking around. I'm seeing who's offers it. I'm testing it to see what answers it gives me. And then 45 minutes later, I remember I just came here to book a tee time, not to evaluate how good the AI assistant is on this golf course's website. And so I'd say like the website and the technology on the website, it normally distracts me first just because I'm kind of like an internet guy.
When you find a place and let's just say it's a mess. All right. You're just like, I can't get what I want. Everything's a little too hard. How does that conversation go down when you maybe ask for a sale or plant the seed for like maybe a deeper dive on your part?
Yeah, so to be fair, we don't sell to the golf courses. We sell to people who sell to the golf courses, right? And so I've talked to prospects where it's like, I'll give an example. There are many golf courses that don't know their websites down for weeks, right? They're like, you won't believe it, but their Facebook gets deactivated and or their Facebook's private and they don't even realize it. So general people can't go to their site. And so like I've talked to companies that are like outside IT advisors for golf courses, right? And so they want information on who's bad at IT. There's generally an email to reach the clubhouse, info@whatevergolfcourse.com. I won't tell you how many times that email bounces. It's no longer an operation. And so, I'm talking to a set of companies that are trying to offer services to help golf courses be better at this stuff, right? Whether it's answering the phone in off hours or, just making sure their website's up or they have a good website or they have an assistant on their website to answer customer questions. I'm really dealing with the people who are trying to solve that problem for clubs. I'm not dealing directly with the clubs.
Tell me this. I know there's an old school element that doesn't want to deal with technology, doesn't want to deal with the website. They want somebody answering the phone in the golf shop so they can book their tee times. Do you try and sway clubs away from that? Or if it's one of those places that's what their customers want, maybe you can do this better?
I think where we're at right now, it depends on the club, right? If you're one of those stuffy old clubs in the Northeast, like I've actually talked to someone who they sell premium yardage books for golf tournaments, right? And the yardage book actually has the itinerary for the private event. It has all of like the details on when the cocktail hour is. They love that in the Northeast because they don't want to use apps, right? They don't want to go onto an app. It's a bunch of 56-year-old guys in Boston. They don't want to have to download an app and log in. They just want to know when the cocktail hour is. And so those types of clubs, I don't think you're ever going to hear, at least in the near future, an AI, recording to help you inquire about a tee time as a member. But I have other customers where they sell, AI assistants on your website. And if they see that the driving range has Top Tracer on it, they know that club is tech forward or willing to adopt technology, right? And so what I think you'll find is like over time, there's kind of a shift, as the golfing population skews younger, or as, old guys kind of phase out, there's going to be more tools that appeal to a younger, more tech savvy generation. But I do have skepticism that anyone wants to talk to a robot to book a tee time. What do you think? I don't know.
I like the people. I mean, it's just because we can feel each other out. And I think to ignore the value of AI is you're really missing the boat, but we still want the personal touch in the end. And I just think the way the game is growing, to ignore technology, you're going to be left behind. To apply it properly, that is the way forward. And it seems like you got a pretty good gig going here, brother.
Yeah, it's fun. I think it's great timing. I'm not an engineer by trade, but with AI making it easier to code solutions and scrape data and do everything, the timing's good. And I think the golf market is a really antiquated market. It's old fashioned, but I'm seeing little slivers of modernization and an acceptance of technology. And so, I'm here to kind of maybe push people a little bit faster in that direction and help modernize the game. But, that my focus is just on having fun, and researching golf courses all day is a pretty nice way to wake up.
I would say so. Hey, man, we got to play some golf in the future. Come to Florida and I'll set it up.
Okay. I would love that.
Derek Smith has been our guest here on Party Time. Check him out at www.downgrain.com. Did I get that right, Derek?
Yeah, you got it. Perfect.
All right. He'll get you all set up. Big thanks to Party Drinks, the title sponsor of Party Time, My Golf Story. If you don't have Party at your golf course, get in touch with Paradise Craft. And the Golf Real Estate Pros at suncoastdreams.com. Vince Vizzacaro and Gene Walsh. Good time to buy, especially in the Sarasota area. And if all that golf has you tired out and mining through all that technology that Derek provides, go to BioLit Spa in downtown Sarasota and unwind. For Derek Smith, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.